first workshops were pretty good, but I'm so stoked to see Jerry do this. I mean, putting that together is that's not an easy thing. You spent some money on that, some time, right? So you guys,
The WCPA is such a valuable source of information. I do it in a heartbeat, guys. The WCPA, all you guys out here that are here, thank you. We're so proud to see this many people here. Yeah, I do it in a heartbeat, yes.
Right.
That's all aluminum, that was all Kyle custom rig that, he spent 3 or 4 days building it. It's been running for almost 3 days now, so.
you know, what Jerry shared, you know, he didn't keep anything back, right? So the point of the more people in the industry, the better it is for everybody. That competition, I'm not telling anybody, you know, that doesn't build an industry. It's that openness.
That has to disappear.
Yeah, so I'm happy to see this, that more people involved. So maybe one of you guys will be up here next time, you know, sharing your stories. One other thing, I have one experience with Totten tubes. You're still listening.
Better be a good one.
Here they are now. So my shop, I didn't have room to unload the trailer and put the steel where I wanted, and the driver was great. He said, well, you pick up the steel, back up, I'll pull out. I can park it, I'll back the forklift back up, he backed the trailer in, and I took the second load off. So I don't know his name, but he was really great. So
Those
thank you for
guys
that.
are, yeah, those guys are unbelievable.
So installation, I'm sure Jared will have something on this too. Really just two things. Take two things out of what I say about installation. You have to use safety wire on your turnbuckle. So when first of all, you got to tighten it up, right? A turnbuckle has the lock nuts. You have to lock those.
Oh, you have to tighten those lock nuts?
You'd be surprised how much you
Yeah, no, you got to tighten those.
Been too tight.
And you know, you gotta put one wrench here and one wrench here and tighten it, because if you tighten one, and anybody who's done this more than once knows, and you go to tighten this one, you can tighten it against the post, but it's loosening the other side. So you have to always use 2 wrenches. Always use 2 wrenches, tighten these up. And then you have to put safety wire. I would never put up a shade sail without safety wire, which the shackles have a little hole for it, right? So that doesn't come undone, because it's all that's happening. These have come apart, these have come apart. Not because they broke, just they vibrate over a year's time, 2 years' time. Pretty soon they pop open. And you get the call, hey, your hardware broke. It didn't break, it just loosened. So if you take 2 things out, wire tie, safety tie, all your hardware, and the thing that first timers usually get wrong is they'll, on a cable sail, on a cable sail, you gotta let the cable hang loose, put your attachment points up, and the cable's the last thing to tighten up. If you clamp that cable off first, you're fighting it. You'll never be able to
Always leave that cable long.
always leave the cable long. So
Never too long.
remember those 2 things and you're in great shape. Any questions on installation or any tips that you guys have?
I had a question. You have guys cable and how big a cable you use depending on the size, or you just stick with one size?
Depending on the size of the shade sail will determine the size of the
And
cable we use.
what's your standard? You said you go up to 3/8.
Standard size is 1/4 inch.
Well, that's a 1/4 inch?
Typically we use 1/4 inch on. 70-80% of the larger ones we do.
For me, it's a simple small, medium, large. Turnbuckles, cable, whatever. So all of our hardware comes small, medium, large. The shackles are matched up to the turnbuckles and they're matched up to the cable. So the general rule of thumb for me to go to 3/8 is 40 feet. So if you got a 40-foot side, you need to go to 3/8. 36 feet, probably get away with 1/4. And then I don't even use the little toy 8mm, the little tiny turnbuckles thing. So anyway, small, medium, large keeps it simple. We're in San Marcos. Greg likes to talk. So if you ever have any questions, please take his card, call him up. He is a shade sail expert now. So please use him as a resource. And you know, I think we owe a debt of gratitude to Steve and Brian with Tri-Vantage, or Tri-Vantage in general. This industry wouldn't be to this stage where we are without these guys pushing it, you know, 8 years ago, starting 8 years ago. So you should feel lucky that there's this much support for you guys in this industry as there is today, because without this, it wouldn't be there. So.
So let's say I'm in the canvas business, but I don't particularly want to do all the manufacturing myself. Who can I call to manufacture shade sail? What capabilities and capacities?
Hopefully, you've seen that I'm not quite as open as Jerry, but I'm pretty free with the knowledge. We make shade sails for contractors. That's all we do. So if you're good selling it, you're good putting the poles in, but you want to maybe buy your first one, that's what we do. So you can call Greg and get a price list. We'll make it, put it in a box, and ship it to you. What most people find out is that, especially in the busy season, it's easier to call me, order the shade sail for me. You spend your time on awnings and drop rolls and slide wire, the things that are your bread and butter. We do charge a little bit more than you can make it for yourself, of course, but it's pretty reasonable. So our business is making shade sails for contractors. Give us a call if you're going to buy it. We also, we just bought a Carlson 60-foot cutting machine. We pride ourselves on a 3-day turnaround option for shade sails. So if you're in a bind, you've got a deadline coming up, we can make your shade sails in 3 days, plus shipping time. So thanks for that. Next question. Any other questions?
Excuse me, sir. What needle size do you use for sail shades? And also the caliber of the thread or size of the thread?
Okay, here's the good news from my perspective. I don't know. It's been so long since I've sewn a shade sail, I kind of forgot. But I will tell you that we use Tenara. We use 2 sizes of their thread. I think they only have 2 sizes. We use both of them, the heavier and the lighter. And I want to say 23, is that a needle size?
I use a 24. I use size 24.
All right, thank you, sir.
If I use a 22, I have a tendency to pop them quite regularly to the heavy corners. Sonata thread's almost a standard procedure now.
Yeah.
But like I said, 24 is the size.
Back in the old days, everybody, is there a Tenara rep in here? They hated Tenara, right? Because you run through the machine and snag, and anymore it's a given thing, right? Tenara is just a regular.
Is that in Sunfast?
Yep. And the good news too with the shade cloth, you don't have, if you have to unsew something, those needle holes don't matter because it's a porous mesh material. So it's pretty forgiving. Anything else?
Just in general, like the application from residential versus commercial, what's the market kind of share?
Most contractors don't do residential, would be a statement I would make. So it's a missed opportunity. I guess the argument is if you could invest 3 hours of sales time, would you rather have a $30,000 restaurant job or a $3,000 residential job? So I think the opportunity is in the residential side. If you can work out those details. What's the mix of, I'm not sure, but you guys speak up too. If you're really dedicated to the shade sail business, you're probably almost all commercial. Yes or no?
90% of my business.
I don't like residential, period.
Commercial with
Yeah.
business.
I just
Big
hire
projects.
potato over my shoulder all day.
Work properly, put their last.
Makes sense.
I know you're not in retail anymore, but can you talk about how to price a shade sail? You price by, some people do linear foot, some people do square foot, some people do, so many poles.
Yeah, we price ours by the square foot. Australia seems to be by the linear, by the perimeter foot, which we couldn't figure out that formula. So we sell by the square foot, and I would suggest to you, to make it easier for your salespeople, you should have maybe 3 packages, right? A 200 square foot package with 4-inch posts, a 600 square foot package. So you can kind of figure your costs out and just have a flat rate for these 3 packages. So when your customer's looking at it, oh, if I make my sale a couple hundred square feet more, it's gonna cost me another $2,500 or something like that. So pricing, back in the day in Phoenix, we had real good luck with those packages, because we already knew what size hardware, we already knew what size posts, we had limits on the heights that you could go to, so the higher packages could have higher, taller poles. I would say right now in Southern California, a finished, not including permits, $20 a square foot seems to be a legitimate price. Back in the day in Phoenix, I think it was more like 15. That would include.
5 years ago, you teach me 15. I lose some money on the job.
Okay, so what do you charge now? 25?
Let's say the first word, 20.
20. Yeah, so,
Depends the pole.
and there's a ton of other factors too. Can you get equipment back there? Is it rocky ground? You know, all that other stuff adds to it, but I would say $20 a square foot is reasonable.
You say it's not including permits?
Yeah, permits can be, what, another $3,000-4,000?
And also, you should keep a factor available for engineering. If you're not going to be engineering these, but they have to be engineered, there's a fellow did a job in Florida, and he quoted the job, but it was subject to engineering, and the engineer came in, and it turns out there was no bedrock, it was all coral, and he had to sink the poles in a lot deeper, and it was like another $30,000 for the job. If he had quoted it on a firm price, he would have lost money on the job. So permits are extra, and also engineering should be extra too.
Question on the engineering, is there an engineer, or what are you asking the engineer for? For the load on the poles, or the load on the fabric, or what are they asking for? What does the city want? Or the
Typically, it's a set of calculations, so it's kind of two components. The drawings, which the engineer usually doesn't do, and then the engineer will calculate those drawings, all the 28 pages of calculations, and then there's a few drawings in there showing the forces. So the engineer basically has always given me a package that the city will take. I've never had an engineering turn it down.
It's not the international building code for that particular area, whatever I see there, and do that or whatever.
And sometimes they can design for the worst soil conditions. I mean, if you want to get right down to it, you can test the soil and make sure the footings aren't too big or the steel's not. But for the most part, they can play with that. But you have to have a good set of plan drawing people, and then the engineer is usually separate from that.
I found that on engineering, the city doesn't, whenever I get an engineer to do the work on it, they just want to see a signature. Because the way they explained it to me is there's been so many fly-by-nights that when these engineers put their name on it, they're saying if it comes down, they pay. That's all they're concerned with.
And the engineers have to carry insurance for that.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, your engineer is putting his name on it, saying, you put these things in this way, and these sides, this will be what it is.
yep.
I was gonna say also, it depends on the plan checker and depends on the city, because you could have, a small city, just take the plans right in over the counter, and they stamp it, give it right back to you. Try to go to Los Angeles, and then it could take 6 months, and several trips, and then that's something that you might have figured into your estimate, weeks or months earlier. All that mileage and a lot of times, sometimes you can get a permit for a little tiny camp. So.
You're exactly right. We try to donate some shade sails to the Boys and Girls Club in Escondido. Anybody here from Escondido? Those guys are a nightmare. He wanted me to verify the bathrooms inside the building were to the code and wanted all, dude. So, yeah, Escondido, California. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Anybody have anything else to offer? Any tips, suggestions?
All right, so Greg and Patrick are scooting out pretty soon. They'll leave some information, some cards. If you have any questions for them, they're always available. And the rest of us will have tables and displays over here. So it's just about noon.